Welcome on into the Wolverine.com podcast. Clayton Safey here with a very special guest, Ant Wright, who I will introduce in just a second. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like the video if you are a fan of the Michigan Wolverines. If you hope that Michigan makes a run here in March, subscribe to our channel. And as always, head to the Wolverine.com. You can use the promo code UM1 right now for 2 months of premium access for just $1. Today's show is brought to you by Homefield Apparel. We're heading into March Madness, Big Ten Tournament this week. No better time to get your Michigan gear. They got stuff for football, basketball, hockey, other sports. You got to rep Michigan around town this March and beyond. Great stuff for the summer, too. Wear it all over the place. Wear it if you're going out to a Michigan basketball postseason game, or just in your day-to-day life. I'm wearing my bomber jacket all the time. I'm wearing all my T-shirts all the time from Homefield Apparel. Come tournament time, you're absolutely going to want to have the coolest gear, and Homefield has you covered. You got a bunch of different boxes out there. The 2024 Michigan Football Platinum box is still a favorite there. Hats, hoodies, socks, T-shirts, coffee mug, everything else over at homefieldapparel.com. They got Michigan gear, but they got a bunch of other teams too. I think they even have Slippery Rocks still up there if you're a fan of just having kind of that unique college apparel. So go check them out right now, homefieldapparel.com. Use the promo code Wolverine for 15% off your first order. Again, homefieldapparel.com, promo code Wolverine for 15% off your first order. Like I said, we got Ant Wright here, former Michigan basketball player, but much more than that. He's at It's Ant Wright, ITS Ant Wright on Twitter. He's always interacting. He's always watching all the games, which I respect. A lot of people don't watch the games, and they got takes. This guy's got takes, and he watches the games. He's breaking everything down. He's doing the Twitter spaces for you at halftime. He's chatting with fans, also on Field of 68 After Dark, many other things. Ant Wright, my former podcast co-host from 2022, that season, which was interesting to cover. Ant, welcome back, and great to have you here.
What's going on, man? Nice to be back. How's it going in the O&N tray? It's going good.
It's going well. Yeah, on 3, love it. It is. Things are going well here, and people are. We've had a lot of different things over the last year or so. New football coach, new basketball coach. This is an interesting team that we're following right now. I guess let's get into that. Michigan State versus Michigan yesterday on Sunday in East Lansing. Michigan State gets the blowout win, 79-62 at the Breslin Center. Some crazy things happened in the last 37 seconds there, but just a game overall, disastrous first half from Michigan, 11 turnovers. They're not hitting shots. They're not even really getting into their offense, which has been a problem in a couple games this year with some ball pressure issues, lack of guard play. We'll talk more big picture in a little bit, but this game overall, and they lost it in the first half. You're down 50-28. You have some life in the second. I thought that was something worth keeping an eye on, just the way they played, pretty inspired. They clawed back. They got it to 11, but you cannot start the way they did on the road like that in a hornet's nest that is the Breslin Center. They were ready to explode before the game. They had reason to almost immediately.
I love this feature, by the way, man. You've upgraded, bro. Look, I see you. I see you.
Our production. Shout out Megan.
Hey, that's big time. Look, you know what? I'll say this. In the first half, I felt like Michigan State was moving at a much different speed. And it felt like it was two very different levels of basketball. And the urgency was it was almost like you were just being like outclassed, just outclassed. We're like, we really belong on the same court right now. Second half was interesting because, I do think Michigan came out with a lot more purpose for sure. But a lot of that was because Michigan State and Tom Izzo went to a lineup that they haven't played in a couple months.
Yeah.
And that was let's play one guard who's not a point guard with 4 front court players. They did that in the non-conference a ton. when Big Ten play started, especially in these bigger games, you never saw that lineup ever, ever, ever. When they did that, I'm like, oh, Tom Izzo is messing around right now. Like he's trying to get some stuff on tape. That's it. Like he's just goofing off. And when he went to that lineup, I just felt that Michigan felt okay. Some things are in our favor right now. And what they did was, I think, three things. One, they simplified things. It was when you have a good shot, you take it. Like, stop passing up good shots to create, because that's when it gets nasty with turnovers and all that. That's one. Two, LJ Kaysen, I've been really high on him this year. I think that I'm not sure if they should have like benched him as much as they did earlier on. Mm-hmm. I think if they rode him, 15 plus to 20 minutes a game early on, I think you see a much different guard, because he's the most confident guard right now who could dribble the basketball. He's playing more confident than Trey and all those guys. He's not really seeing the shot go in, but that's not affecting him from a mental standpoint. I think that's super important. But he has some good minutes too. And then three, Danny Wolf decided to just turn it on and was like, you know what? I'm just going to be unguardable. I'm just going to do what I do. And being able to score the ball at the rim, going to the basket, using his size, right? He wasn't doing that finesse, fancy stuff. He was putting his head down, getting to the basket, shooting open threes, and that's what they need. And I think moving forward into the Big Ten tournament and into the postseason, I think you just got to go all in on Danny and Vlad. I think those are the two guys who have been the most consistent by far this season, especially Vlad. Play through your post. But also, Danny, you got to do what you do. And because if you don't, like, this team doesn't have much a shot to win many more games. So I think those three things really stuck out to me in the second half. And it's just all about being able to take that and just keep it going and like hopefully trying to gain some momentum here in Indianapolis.
Who's really tough to guard? That Danny Wolf. Yeah, you're totally right. The beginning of the game, he was, there's a lot of traffic, and Michigan State does that when you get the ball in deep, and he was kind of fading away. Even on there was one putback, I think that, he kind of like is going away from the basket instead of just powering up and living with the result. You're a 7-foot guy. I know you've, we exchanged some messages last week just about like, he's got to get in there and be able to finish. You're 7 feet tall. And I thought he just played free and aggressive. As the game went on, they're going to need that out of him, especially when you don't have the guard play that is ideal for a team to head into the tournament here. We can talk about Trey Donaldson if we want, but you bring up a great point on LJ Kaysen, and Dusty May in his press conference this morning here on Monday morning essentially said what you just said. He said, hey, I wish that we could have played LJ more at the time. And he said, but sometimes we were down the stretch in a close game. It's a 2-point game, and it's, do I try to win this game right now, or do I try to get LJ Kaysen some experience so it helps us down the road if we're not playing well? And he said, hey, we chose the in-the-moment decision. They could have.
He said that this morning? He said that
this morning, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Just for those guys, I don't listen to any of this stuff. So, well, okay. So, that's at least we're seeing the same stuff,
right?
I do that.
I wasn't trying to insinuate that you listened to him and stole the.
No. But that's really good to know. That's good
for sure. And I think that he's built up some trust here. And like you said, there's no question he's their most confident guard. The take he had, the layup he made on Sunday against Michigan State. Yeah. Like, no one on this team even has the guts to try it through traffic. He's kind of fallen down. And sometimes, hey, maybe okay. There are a couple times he's driven with his head down and he'll telegraph it a little bit. Guys came over. The one he got stuffed, you knew he was going where he was going, and that's kind of a freshman play. But he's got the confidence to do it. Now the jump shot hasn't fallen. I think he's 2 of 15 from 3 in his last 5-6 games. But he's shooting them when he's open. He's in rhythm.
He's
Ruben
never guessing. He's never second guessing what he should do, and nobody else has that. Everyone's like, I feel like everyone's trying not to make a mistake. His mindset is, I want to make things happen. And I think those are two very different types of mindsets. And you can't really teach that. So being able to take that mindset and use it to your advantage, I think it's going to be really important. Honestly, it just sucks that we're so late in the season now, but that's something to build on and really be, really be excited for next year for sure. Someone like that having a sophomore year bump, he should be an all Big Ten player next year. Like, I think he's that type of player with that type of potential. Like, he could be an all Big Ten guy. But he just needs the minutes, and he just doesn't have the reps right now.
Someone asked a few weeks ago over at the Wolverine.com on our message board, like, why are they playing Pippen over Kaysen? And this is when things were going a little bit better, right? That, probably during that 6-game win streak. And I said, well, and they had talked about Kaysen wasn't practicing as well. He didn't quite have the habits they wanted. So there's always more that goes into it. That, obviously. There's more time spent behind the scenes than there are in the games. But I said the LJ Kaysen's, like, to me, is kind of like the warrior in a garden, and Justin Pippen's more like the gardener in the war right now, where Pippen's not going to screw it up when things are going well. Kaysen may screw it up, but starting with that
preaching to the choir, bro. Preaching to the choir, bro.
Right.
Absolutely.
But Kaysen, starting in that second Purdue game, when they started to play him a little bit more, remember, he was in the zone and he kind of got a couple deflections and all that.
Yeah.
Like, they were down a little bit in that first half, and they've been down quite a bit lately. Honestly, you can pull the numbers. It's like they've been only leading for like 35 minutes out of the last 4 or 5 games, but they've needed someone to make something happen. To your point, Trey's not playing as well. Roddy Gale's really not giving you much at all, especially offensively. On and on. Reuben Jones was sick. We need a guy to make something happen, and Kaysen was kind of that guy.
Yeah. That's, man. Do you listen to my spaces? Because I swear, like, I'd be saying the same stuff, bro. So, like,
that's here and there, but
that is a great way to like put it. Wherein, like, that's a really great way to warrior in a garden and one's a gardener in a war. That's,
you need to find the balance.
I like that.
You find the balance.
I do like that, because it's like, Pippen, like, right now, like, hey, potential to be a very good guard down the line, but like right now, he's in a game to not mess up, hold serve, right? Not going to give you 2, but also probably not going to go -2 on you, right? Just keep it at 0 till we get our guys back in. Kaysen, it's more of a crypto, right?
Yeah.
He's, no matter what, he's going, but it's a little bit crazy, but he's going, right? He's going. It could be air, it could be air, it could be air, but it's just constant go, 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 go. So I do see why the coaches will be like, should we throw this grenade out there? You know what I mean? Like, hey, if we throw this grenade, hey, look, it could blow a few guys up, but a couple of our guys could get some of that flag. So it's just one of those things where I trust Dusty's pulse of the team. Even like more so just like hearing what you said that he said this morning with like LJ, and it's good to know that he does have a decent pulse. A lot of the things that I say in my spaces or say at like halftime and all that, I'd say like 75 to 80% ends up happening eventually in terms of like decision making. And it's really good to see that like we're like seeing things very, 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 very similarly.
I think it might be one of his better qualities as a coach, because I remember I was reading everything I could when he got hired about FAU and his career, and there were some really good, I think it was, I forget who wrote it, CJ Moore, maybe on The Athletic, about Dusty's team last year. The team that had everyone back from the group that made the Final Four the season before. And he sensed that it just wasn't the same. There was a little too much entitlement. There was a lot of pressure on that team to get back, right? When you go to the Final Four as a surprise, and you got some breaks in terms of who won, who lost, you played a close game in the first round that sparked the whole run. People are expecting you to make a deep run again. but it doesn't always work like that. Of course, then they lose in overtime first round against Northwestern. But he could sense throughout the year that things were too tight. Guys were a little more self-centered than, and I don't want to put words in his mouth because this is just all paraphrasing, but
it does make sense
self-centered.
For sure.
Yeah. So he's got a good pulse. I think he understands that they're not playing well right now. And I mean, I guess anyone would, but he's been pretty optimistic about a potential breakout. I mean, he's talking about the way they're shooting the ball in practice lately has been a lot better than it had been all season. He feels like it could translate to the game. But when you go 3 of 24, Ant, in a game like this, you're not going to have much of a chance. Like when we're talking about random Big Ten games throughout the week and people are like, oh, could X team go and win on the road here? It's like sometimes I'll just be like, well, I mean, if they hit 11 threes, they got a chance, but you can't hit 3, especially when you had some clean looks as well, and then you add in all the turnovers. But once you make it somewhat competitive in the second half, then you start thinking back to the 3 turnovers you had directly after a Michigan State bucket, basically on an inbound or the next pass after the inbound, or and then those led immediately to another Michigan State bucket. So you're basically giving up 2 there, and you're not getting a shot yourself. And my brother texted me after the one that Vlad threw away. He said, "How come there have been so many turnovers this year where we don't even see them on TV?" Because they're so bad. It's like, damn, that's a great point. That's a great point. But so too many self-inflicted wounds in not being an elite rebounding team or close to it, not being a good team at taking care of the ball, and you're not shooting it well. You can't have all those things at once.
Yeah, and the you know what, like the real downside of not shooting the ball well, because I think I saw during one game they had a graphic up. They said in like the first 21 games, they were 38% from 3. And then in the last 12 at that time, they were, I think, 28%. Mm-hmm. That was going from being a top 30 team nationally to a bottom 10. Yep. And you know what's funny about that? That's the same segment where they started struggling getting big leads again, right? And a big part of that, on top of that, is you know who that hurts the most? Danny. If Danny doesn't have space to work with, that's where he gets kind of bottled up, right? He's not one of these like 5'10" shifty guards who can like split defenders because there's like a foot of space. That's just not his game, right? So spacing is getting away from them. And then you have Vlad and Wolf. These are your 2 best players. And they have no space to work with because the guys who are guarding Roddy or Ruben, they're just like, we don't have to guard these guys. Like, let's stop this. And if they hit a shot, whatever, hit it again, right? Mm-hmm. Guarantee you make 1, but you end up 1 for 5, right? Sure. Or 1 for 4. So, teams are going to play the odds. And odds right now are saying, look, you have to guard 2 players. That's it. If you guard these 2 guys and contain them, you're going to win the basketball game.
Or if you're Illinois, you don't guard Vlad, or you don't really have the personnel to do it, and you don't play that way anyway. You stay home on everyone else. He gets 20 whatever on you, and no one else can do anything or get a rebound. That was – so you're right. They've got 2 guys right now. Reuben Jones gets more clean looks than anybody probably for a reason, and they're so in rhythm when he shoots them. They're just not going in. And this is a guy that shot, I think, 40% from 3 last year at North Texas. It's way different. Frankie Fiddler's done the same thing at Michigan State. He's shooting like 18% from 3 after being a good shooter at Omaha. But still, when you get a clean look, and I know he's dealt with injury and illness and all that. It's been a weird year for him. But if they could just get some of those to go, or they have one game, John Beilein used to talk about this time of year, the outliers. And, if Ruben hits 3 one game, those are like free points almost because you're just not getting them. Everything is like pulling teeth when you're not hitting threes. You really cap your offensive upside, efficiency wise, when you're not hitting threes because you're just trading 2s for, whatever else the other team gets. And, especially against great teams like Michigan State, who I've been impressed with all year, just the way Izzo's built that thing. But last thing before we move on more to towards Big Ten tournament, looking ahead.
Did you see the stat recently?
Go ahead.
About there was a stat that came out, I think it was today. Michigan's like the first team in like, I think it's like 50 years.
Oh, I saw
first high major, I think, ever to win
it.
70% of their conference games and have a negative point differential.
Yes. Here it is. Jared Burson on Twitter. I retweeted this earlier. Not normal at all, he says. Michigan is the first Division I team to win 70% of its conference games, but post a negative scoring differential in league play since Northern Iowa in the 1983-84 Association of Mid-Continent Universities, which is now the Summit League. That's not great, is it? I mean, it's good to win 70%.
I mean, that just means that you're losing close games. No, that you're winning close games, but when you lose, you really, really lose.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy.
Illinois, Michigan State, the first Purdue game that was like just a blur in general. I don't even know if anyone knew what was happening. And then you win a bunch of close ones, which, hey, I mean, you'll take the wins, but maybe this was trending closer to what we've seen over the last 6 games earlier. A lot of people didn't notice it. Maybe that winning those games were kind of masking. And Dusty actually said that today. He said, like, someone said, were you a victim of your success earlier in the year? And he said, we're a victim of what the final score showed. And I thought that was like multi-layered because he kind of took it to. Yeah,
because I put this on Twitter, and opposing fan bases had a field day because they thought it was like, they just do their thing, right? So I said that, despite these close scores, people are like, "Oh, Michigan's so lucky to do." I'm like, you know what? Not trolling. I think of all the close score games, I think there were 4 of them that I felt that Michigan was not in control of. Only 4. And like the Nebraska game, right? Nebraska. Mm-hmm. I never felt Michigan was really not in control. Like, even though it was tight, they were always up a possession with the ball,
which seemed like an insurmountable lead at that point.
Right. It was so weird because I felt like whenever Michigan needed a stop, they got it. Whenever Michigan needed a score, they got it. And like, I think, and then the opposite would be, I felt a game that Dusty won was the Penn State game at home.
Yes. Yep.
You're down by 5, I believe, because I think Ace Baldwin just hit 2 free throws. Mm-hmm. Michigan comes down. They're doing their read and react thing. There's like 10 to 15 seconds left on the shot clock. He calls timeout. Mm-hmm. Does he call a timeout a month or 2 earlier? I don't think so.
No,
because he used to really hoard his timeouts, right? He calls a timeout, come out, and they get that, and they get a score, and then from that timeout, Michigan 9-0 run to finish the game, mm-hmm. Right? So I think that was something where Michigan needed something late, but it wasn't a situation like where like they're just in control of the game, and then like. So like Indiana, right? Indiana, they're in control of the game, up by 6. Anthony Leal hits like a half quarter. Now it's a 3-point game. Everyone's like, "Oh, you only won by 1 possession." I'm like, yeah, but I mean, it's just like there's people hate context because it kills a lot of what their thought is. But yeah, sorry, I'm talking a lot today, but no, I'm really excited for this Big Ten tournament, man. There's just great matchups all over the place.
It's going to be awesome. Let's kind of move into that a little bit more. But also,
you don't want to talk kerfuffle?
Okay. I was going to get to that after we talk about Trey Donaldson.
Okay, Big Ten.
Let's talk kerfuffle. Let's talk kerfuffle.
No. Let's talk Big Ten. Let's keep them waiting.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so Michigan looking to regain some momentum here, and it's a whole, clean slate. It is sometimes hard to envision certain things happening, but then in this sport, it just happens, right? When me and you, we were doing the pod in 2022, Michigan had not won consecutive games, 2 in a row, in a month and a half. Then they go down to Indy for the second straight week after having a terrible loss to Indiana in the Big Ten tournament. They go into the same building. They beat Colorado State, and then they beat the Tennessee team that had won 13 of 14 games for its first time of winning 2 straight. Like things just happen. There are way better examples of that too, but I think it relates because you and I talked about it in depth. That was a very odd team to cover, but it was fun to do it with you there. So things can happen, right? Unexpected. But what is it going to take, in your opinion, for Michigan to have that? Is it as simple as shooting, like, please God, just shoot 33% from 3? It's not even a great number, but it at least be close to the national average of 34.2, I believe it is right now, or whatever it is. Or is it getting Trey Donaldson back, which I want to kind of talk about too? So take it however you want, but this is a guy in your point guard who didn't play the last 12 minutes because they found a groove with another group, but it's been trending this way for a while that he just has not been the same guy.
Yeah, I mean, you need someone to step up in this occasion. And like, you're looking at what Trey did when Wolf was out versus UCLA, right? Just goes nuts from 3, and he looked like he wanted all those shots, wanted every single one. Like, give me the ball, I'm about to launch it, and it's going to go in. He wanted that action. I don't know what that mindset is now in terms of his confidence moving forward. And I do think that you can't mess around with this. Like, you are who you are. And I think, LJ does give you a much better shot at the guard spot. Maybe play him and Trey at the same time. Then go with more Namari at the 3, because Namari is also a good defender. I think LJ is an underrated defender with how fast and how quick he is. Maybe he doesn't have the scout down like the older guys, but he is strong. He's a 6'2", 190, 195.
He's built pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's just he's confident, an athlete, all those things. So I would like for guys to step up, but I think they should step up within their roles and prove that. I'm not saying this guy should do this or do that, but someone's got to fill the void. And this is super cliche, but Vlad and Wolf have got to carry, point blank, carry the team, and then whoever's coming with, just get on board. Namari hit shots, be the 3-and-D guy. And if Namari's the third ball handler, that's fine too. LJ out there. I don't mind them playing cheese more. Play cheddar way more, please. Because that's gonna end up like a big matchup problem for the other team. Can just go full Qs. If your guards aren't hooping, play LJ, Namari, Cheese, Wolf, and Vlad. Put them in a 2-3 and just be long and just live with the consequences on that end and just be absolutely just one of the hardest teams to guard offensively. Who do you put your second biggest post on? You put him on Cheddar, who's going to be able to stretch the floor. You're going to put him on Wolf to handle the size. How do you figure that out? And I think if you put teams in that situation, like if they get Purdue on Friday, right, and they roll out that lineup, who does Fletcher Lawyer guard?
Yeah, I don't know. Cheddar?
Who does he guard? Cheese?
Yeah.
Cheese is twice his size, right? And Cheddar is very good on the block. Very underrated, in my opinion, on the block. They're going to have to hide him. Then I'm probably coming with like a freshman. You want a freshman guarding Cheese? A freshman guarding Wolf? Right? I think if you continue to put these teams in really bad situations, they're going to start to overthink and over-prepare. And then that's when you have them not playing how they usually play. Then that's how you can get these teams. So I think you just got to go all in with Wolf and Vlad, which is super cliche. I get it. But you are who you are right now from the guard standpoint. We're in the middle of March. Look at your roster. You are who you are. When it even comes like Roddy, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a big disappointment, but what I'll say is that, like, it's he is someone who needs plays to be called for him when he's out there. I don't think you could do a lot of the free flowing stuff when he's out there. Like, he's at his best when a play is called. I think we've seen that a lot where, like, after timeouts, he's at his best because he's kind of being told what to do. Like, hey, here are your options. But when you're free flowing and he has to read and do all that stuff, it's just real confusing, and he ends up doing something crazy. So, yeah.
No, it's all great points. It has been disappointing with Roddy. The three wasn't falling for a while, but then you said, well, okay, well, at least he's getting downhill, and he can get to the rim a couple times, and he's getting some offensive boards and things. But now there's no room to even drive anymore because he's being guarded like a center that can't shoot. He's being guarded kind of almost like Vlad in a way. And then he kind of drives in, doesn't know where to go. I think you posted the clip yesterday. This wasn't even Roddy, but just sometimes Michigan gets stuck in that pass, 2 dribbles, pick up your dribble, pass.
One dribble, pick it up. Yeah, one dribble.
Right. They're not like, it's read and react. And he's calling more set plays, but it's read and react. But it's like, all right, someone's got to actually do something here other than the big guys. But I guess you just lean into those two. And Dusty talked today about, he said with how good Vlad's been, especially, they got to be able to leverage that to open things up for other guys. And he said that it's nice that they have the extra day with the double bye going into Friday. You're going to have either Purdue, Rutgers, or USC. I bet on it being Purdue. They're going to have a lot of fans there. They're not playing great over the last month. Really, Michigan, they lose to Michigan. They lose 4 in a row. They got a little bit back on track, and then Illinois is playing better, so you lose to them on the road on Friday night. But that Purdue game, if it is that matchup, could be kind of interesting. I don't know that Michigan matches up great, other than what you're talking about now. They're kind of using that bigger lineup here and there. But your thoughts on, I guess, that potential matchup?
Honestly, of the 6 teams that Purdue could play in that first round, I think USC and Rutgers are the worst 2 for them to play. Okay. Because I just think, like, they're like, one, Rutgers, from a talent standpoint, you have 0 days to prepare. You have 10 hours, 24 hours, whatever, like a few hours to prepare for.
They did just prep for picks a week and a half ago, though.
They what now?
Like, Purdue just prepared for Rutgers about a week and a half ago. But
they did, and that's not a good thing. I think playing 2 teams in a very small, like, playing the same team in a very small window, I don't think that's a good thing for the winning team, honestly. Okay. Because you're resting on that, right? You're resting on that blowout. And that was a game where Rutgers was up early. Rutgers was up by 8 early. And then Purdue just goes on like a crazy run after that. And this was in Mackey. USC and Rutgers, I think, pose a lot of problems for a lot of these teams. It's because they have, it's good that they're going to get each other out in this first game, because I just think Wesley Yates, Desmond Claude, I think that's a dangerous duo. And Ace and Dylan are a dangerous duo. Like, they both play big on the perimeter, and that's really hard to prepare for. But like I said, it's good that they're getting each other out in the first one. And I think, like, I'm telling you, out of all the teams, like, those are the 2 that I would want to avoid for sure.
Well, Rutgers is going to Indy thinking they're winning the Big Ten tournament. Like, if you're those 2 lottery picks, that's what you're thinking. And then I said this to my dad like a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, when USC was starting to string together a couple wins. Claude was playing well. It was before he got hurt or sick or whatever it was. And I was like, USC looks like a team that's going to, like, win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament. They're just something about them. Almost like the Ohio State team a couple years ago that went on that crazy run. So you're right. Those are interesting matchups. The interesting thing, too, is that Michigan hasn't played USC in a long time. I think January 4th was when they played out in L.A., and Michigan was kind of a different team. And then you've played Rutgers and Purdue twice, right? You have 3 double play opponents in the regular season. These are 2 of them. It didn't go well the first time against Purdue. It didn't go well the second time against Rutgers, but you win on an Amari Burnett buzzer beater. You
Right.
gut out the second Purdue win. The first Purdue game at the Rack or Jersey Mike's was actually, I thought Michigan was pretty good in that game. And that was another one when Rutgers hit 2 threes at the end. It made it look way closer. It was really like an 8-point win, but it ended up being like a 3 or 4. But so those are
right, per usual.
Yeah,
per
exactly.
usual.
Michigan was the king of the bad beats there for like 2 weeks. Duffy was even acknowledging that. Like, he's got to just pulse on, he knows everything that's going on. He sees the Twitter mentions. He said people were Venmo requesting him when they would lose on a bad beat.
Wait, who?
Dusty.
Oh, Dusty.
So he knows exactly like all the different stuff going on in college basketball, and people started to bring up those stats, right? Of like, oh, you guys have won 9 in a row, close games or whatever. He's like, well, we were getting random shots hit on us at the end. But so you look at the bracket here. I think that Michigan would have liked to win the other day, become the 2. But I think Michigan matches up with Maryland if you're able to get through, and Maryland gets through, which is no guarantee. Better than like a Michigan State on Saturday. Obviously, I think the Maryland matchup is actually good for Michigan. I think Michigan sleptwalked through the first half last week and then turned it on and then turned it over too much. But there's a path there to get your mojo back. Yeah,
they're very similar in terms of how their teams are built. Not that deep. You play 2 bigs a ton. The power forward is probably a pro. Very, very similar groups. Very similar groups. But yeah, man, it's.
Go ahead.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this, and being able to, even that Illinois Maryland. Like, you're probably gonna get Illinois Maryland, right?
Yep.
And talking with Illinois fans, they hate playing Maryland because they haven't beaten them in like years. It's just kind of insane.
It's just a weird one. Like,
it's so strange. Illinois fans saw the bracket and they were pissed. They're like, no, Maryland, no.
That's like Michigan fans if they got Illinois right away, because Michigan hasn't beaten Illinois since Beeline.
Yeah, in like a long time. I don't think since when Beeline was there.
Yes. Jawan never beat him, and Dusty lost his first time. Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Who wins the Big Ten tournament? Look at the bracket. I know there's only 1 extra team in, but doesn't the bracket look significantly more confusing and crazy with just 1 more team? This is going to be an odd year.
Oh, I like it. I loved the Big Ten Tourney bubble watch this year. I thought that was the greatest thing to happen. People are like, no, all teams should be able to make it. I was like, no, like absolutely not. Like, this is not a, hey, you're in the league, you get to go. If you don't finish in the top 80%, like, no, you don't get to go. Period. You know what I mean? But I'll say, man, who do you like? Because I think that one thing that I do like about the bracket is that Michigan State's route is the easiest. And for them to do what they did this year, I think it mirrors, hey, you did the best, you get the easiest route, right? That's a good thing, right? At the same time, I don't like Indiana or Oregon's matchup with them because, one, Indiana beat them at their place, and then Oregon was up 50-36 after the first half, right? Until Jace went absolutely bananas. Right. So, that's going to be a tough matchup because Indiana is playing well. Oregon is playing well, and they're built to win games, in my opinion. Northwestern, Minnesota, talk about 2 very, very underrated coaches with a lack of resources. They just don't have the resources that these other teams have, like not even close. But just watching Northwestern and Minnesota this year, I don't think any other team had their teams more prepared for the games. And I think over time, the personnel, it kind of got to them a bit.
Sure.
where they just get overwhelmed. But if you look at like the first half of these games, like there's a reason why Minnesota went and swept LA, right? Not a lot of teams did that.
Just them in Michigan, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Wisconsin didn't even do it, right? Michigan State went 0-2 out there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and for Minnesota to go out there and do that was very impressive. But then, of course, they lose to Northwestern and Penn State at the crib when they come back, which doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's really underrated game. Ohio State is in trouble, especially if they lose this game. They're not getting in at 17 and 15. I'm sorry, they're just not. Even if they win that game and then lose to Wisconsin, 18 and 15 would be the worst at-large record that I've seen get in like 8 years. No team with 18 wins and 15 losses have got in under the net. And that's, I think, the 2019 tournament was the last time a team got in with 15 losses. That was from the SEC. That was the last time. The bubble is extremely weak, so it may be one of those odd years that you could maybe slip in there. But I just think the committee is going to see that 15 losses and 18 wins. There's like, nope, can't do it. This is a big week for them.
Huge.
I don't even know, man. I don't know, because the one-day prep is going to come down to. It's honestly going to come down to the players. I don't think anyone from Wednesday can win. I just think it's just too many games. I mean, would you be shocked at Illinois?
No, I was going to bring them up. I think Morez Johnson might be back too.
Yeah, with Morez back, like that changes a lot. Like they've missed him big time.
Yes.
And if you get him back, I mean, oof. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at Illinois, man. But that Friday slate is going to be something.
It's going to be incredible when you look at the potential matchups. I think Thursday looks.
Even Thursday going to be tough. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. Look at the good teams playing on Thursday at the Big Ten tournament. It might be.
Could get Minnesota, Wisconsin. That's a rivalry.
Yes.
Man, Ohio State, Illinois would be a good one too. Then either USC or Rutgers versus Purdue is going to be awesome to watch. Just
that's going to be the late game. The crazy things happened. That late game was when, remember, Evan Smotrich hit a shot, in overtime or to force overtime against Minnesota back in 2012. Like weird things happen in that late Thursday game. I'm excited for that. I'll be down there by then, and I'm going to go to that and in-person scout Michigan's opponent. But so nice. We'll see that. Yeah, Illinois, if they hit 27% of their threes, wins the whole thing.
If they just get hot for like 4 days.
They easily could. And if they get the reinforcement and have a little more depth and rebounding and everything Johnson brings. But here's the thing, too. Like last year, so I think Michigan State's the best team. And Dusty said it last night. He said they're first place. There's a big difference between that and second place this year. And I think that was the case throughout the course of the Big Ten season. But it was also the case last year when Purdue was easily the best team. They lose in the Big Ten tournament semis to Wisconsin. Purdue goes to the national title game. Wisconsin gets bounced in the first round to James Madison. So I'm kind of the belief that like things are going to happen. They don't necessarily mean that something else is going to happen. It's why it's an exciting time of year. So would I bet on Michigan State winning the Big Ten tournament? I would think that they have the best chance, but I also would probably say they shouldn't be the odds-on favorite. I don't think they are. I haven't looked at it yet, but and UCLA's got a shot. I mean, all these teams do, so it's going to be really exciting.
Did you see Mick Cronin, what he said?
No.
He's just pissed at everything, dude. Like, man, is there anything that Mick Cronin does not just he just hates everything. He just hates everything. Man, there was a someone sent it to me. He said something about the Big Ten tournament. Oh, I can't find it.
But he complains a lot.
Yes. Yes, big time. But he was complaining about the Big Ten tournament, saying that it was a waste of everybody's time.
Hey, it's a fun waste of time, though. I don't think it's a waste of time. I love it, but
yeah, I love it. Like, it's great for the fans. It's just it's it is more of a sprint, right? It's just like are you a fan of the mile, or are you a fan of the 100 dash, right? This is a 100-meter dash right here. Like, it's not about stamina. It's about race to Sunday, ready, set,
right.
go. You know,
For sure. That's why it is exciting, and I love watching all of them. I know you watch pretty much every Big Ten game the whole year, which again, a lot of people don't. So
it's pretty insane. Not gonna lie,
it takes up a lot of time, but
it does.
Today's show also brought to you by the 2025 official Michigan Jordan Fly Elite football that just dropped. For the first time ever, Jordan Brand's signature innovation, performance, and swagger are hitting the turf in the Big House. This is the official game ball of the Wolverines. You'll see it in action all season long. As Michigan builds on its championship legacy, the football is designed for precision, control, and game-changing performance. Here's what makes it special. Signature Maze Jumpman and Block M logos. You got it here. I got my football that they sent us. Appreciate that. Those are iconic symbols of innovation and performance. These footballs are engineered to Michigan's quarterback specs, designed with input and guidance from Wolverines coaches and players. They've got the pebbled lace, a visible colorized maze lace reinforcement flap, and overlay stripe technology for better optimal off-lace control. These are handcrafted in the USA by Big Game Football Factory. Every ball comes with a certificate of authenticity. This isn't just a football, it's a piece of Michigan history. I've thrown mine around a couple times, but I may just throw it in a case because it is memorabilia at the same time, but it is an unbelievable football to throw. It's perfect for true Michigan fans to display it or give it as a gift. Be among the first to own it. Snap yours today at biggameusa.com/Wolverines. Again, that is biggameusa.com/Wolverines. All right, we should have done the kerfuffle earlier. You're right, but let's do it and then get out of here. Here's where I stand. It's not that big of a deal. Obviously, being made a huge deal on social media, which is you come to expect it with anything. Now everyone's connecting it to tunnel incident. Everyone's connecting it to, Penn State football players throwing PB&Js at Michigan guys in the tunnel as well. Like they're trying to connect everything to everything else. Two guys standing at midcourt probably knew the tradition, in my opinion. We don't know for a fact. Dusty May doesn't seem like he knew a ton about it. Yet he was told a couple minutes before, hey, they're going to do this. They're going to kiss the floor. He said, okay, fine. But it's two guys standing in the middle of the floor during free throws. If you're going to do a tradition like this in the middle of a game, you run the risk of the opponent not necessarily, going along with it. They stand there. Fiddler does his thing, but Holloman comes up and shoves them. What are your thoughts on this, Ant, as a former player and as someone who does watch every game and you understand what these rivalries are about?
I was up at 2:15 last night.
I saw your video. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a video. Long story short, I have played in the Michigan State senior night game, and I'll tell you this much. I didn't know or care what was happening. And I didn't know what it was until 4 or 5 years later. I thought guys were doing a push-up on the court. I'm not sure what that is. Didn't care to ask. Then that was kind of it. And I just you have to understand what is going on between these guys' ears, right? They're not holding on to details like Michigan State, they have a senior night. This is what they do. There is so much going on. There's so much going on, bro. So much going on. There's just, I don't think they knew, for one. And I did see Akins kind of tell them to, hey, hey, move, da, da, da. Do you know how loud it was in there?
I do. Yeah.
Extremely loud, right? So if the other team is doing, what are you gonna do? Like what the hell is you like? What do you mean? Like, I don't even know what you're insinuating, right? If the other team tells me to do something and I don't even know what's going on, are you gonna be like, oh, okay, where should I move, sir? That's just not how it works, right? But you can see Trey getting irritated. He's like pacing back and forth, looking back and forth, and then he just runs up on him. And I think it's funny how they were on half court. Fiddler does his thing. LJ's like, okay, cool, right? And then he like leaves. From that point, it's like, okay, whatever they're doing, we're good here. Right?
Exactly.
Wouldn't you think that? And then they run up on him. So
Fiddler doing that proves that they would have been just fine doing it wherever Fiddler did it. Yeah. That was
probably the biggest takeaway. Another takeaway that I'm seeing fans come out with is like, why are they at half court? The rest of the game, like every other part of the game when they were shooting free throws, they were on the 3-point line. I'm like, absolutely. But there were never Michigan State players wandering around half court earlier in the game. Now they were. At no point am I getting ready to rebound a free throw or stand outside the arc for a free throw with guys 9 or 10 feet behind me at half court. That's just right. You know
Especially
what I mean?
when they had just allowed a transition bucket off of a missed free throw rebound up to Cohen Carr. Dusty talked about that. And then Izzo called a full timeout with 40 seconds to go, didn't sub anyone then. And Dusty said one of the things they told those young guys who were in the game was transition defense. So he thought they backed up partly because of that. And like, you're right, they were kind of circling around there. You don't let guys behind you.
Right, exactly. So that's another thing. So so that tells me why they were there, right? And then 2, when Fiddler did his thing, I'm like, okay, we're all good here. We can do our job. You can do whatever you're doing. Don't know what you're doing. Don't really care that much, but you do you, whatever, right? And you know what I mean? And I just think, they're like saying they knew because he got recruited, and I'm like, wait a minute. Because he got recruited a year and a half ago, he just knows the tradition. Like, do you know what these guys have to endure this entire thing? Like, you got to understand that, like I hardly knew the schedule, let alone what someone's tradition was once a year that I've never seen before. Like, that's just not staying in my nameplate. That's just not staying on my brain.
Recruits watch less college basketball probably than some people might think, I think, too.
And they don't watch it for that.
Right.
They don't watch it for that. Like, the way fans watch it and the way recruits watch it is recruits watch it for, like, playing styles, what's going on. Oh, this game is dead. I'm flipping it to something else because I want to see how this other team is doing because they're also on my list. Right?
Does the coach that told me he plays fast actually play fast? Probably
right.
Not. But I'm going to watch for that. Yeah, if you're a recruit.
Right.
So, look,
so those are my issues with the whole thing.
I think you bring up great points, and you're talking about you literally were in that situation. Were you on
and I'm telling people like where I like what my mindset was at the time, and when I learned about the tradition, I'm like, the way I consume basketball is so much different than as a player. It is night and day, not even close. so much different. I consume it way different. I pay attention to the smallest details now with everything, whether it's coaches, assistants, fans, right? What are they doing, right? I want to know everything because I want to tap into all the fan bases. So when I speak on a team, I am fully, or I'm as knowledgeable as possible, right? Where I'm not speaking out of left field, right? But as a player, tradition is the last thing. I remember 3 traditions. That's all. And they were all musically inclined. Ohio State's I don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan is because they sung it every single time, multiple times per game, every game that we played them. Mm-hmm. Right? Kansas, they sang this song, this like rock chalk song at the end of the game. It's like this loud, slow, creepy ass song that they sung for like 5 minutes. It was insane. The third was Wisconsin intros, and they played the drums super sweet. And I will look forward to going to Wisconsin for the intros because like I just love it. Was like and I just remember that, right? But doing a push-up at half court once in my life, like I said, didn't register with me.
Here's the bottom line is that someone else's tradition, not supposed to care or respect about it, or you're not going to care or respect it or revere it like
you don't have the bandwidth.
Like whose tradition it is, right? Yeah. I mean, that's the end of the day. You can get – and Michigan State fans, go ahead and be mad about it and feel like it's fine that Trey Holloman did it. It's probably how any fan base would feel. But also if you're Michigan, you're like, hey, we're allowed to stay in here. We don't have to participate in your mid-game drawn-out tradition that you did after the game last year because it was a closer game. So you're kind of already proving you don't need – it's not that, much of a required thing. So that's the kerfuffle talk that we saved for the end. Hopefully people stayed.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No. This so this has been great. And you break it all down. I think you said it yourself at the end there, how knowledgeable you are about each team, fan base. You understand what people are talking about, and then you create content and dig into the topics that people are talking about and add a really nuanced conversation on a platform, or platforms on social media that aren't always, full of all that. So I give you a ton of credit for that. Make sure you go follow him at itsantwright on Twitter/X, and he's all over the place. He's got the link in his bio for all his other stuff, YouTube channel, his son's Instagram. He's training. Walker, right, is becoming a
I forgot my Walker's IG is on there.
I was looking at that earlier. So he's training. And he's got a good coach, obviously. So, and thank you so much for doing it. And just excited for this.
Trivia for you. I have a trivia for you. You ready for this?
Yes, let's go.
One of the Big Ten programs sent my son some gear. Who was it?
Maryland.
Come here, Walks. He wore it to school today, which is really funny. Come here, hurry up. Come here.
What do you got? Oh, Wisconsin. Wow.
Wisconsin. Shout out them.
Future Badger? Question mark.
That's my friend Clayton. No, he's in. Don't tell him who you like. Okay. Don't tell him. Okay. Don't tell him who you like.
Okay. I probably don't want to know.
No, you don't want to know who he likes. He saw a light skin dude with braids and was like, I like that team. Yeah, who's got all the light skinned dudes with braids? Football team.
Football team. I'm drawing a blank, but
CJ. quarterback.
College?
Yep, Big Ten.
CJ. Oh, Stroud. Yeah. Okay. I was thinking current quarterbacks. Oh, Ohio State. And I don't know how you're letting that happen, but
Yeah, I know. He's starting to smile because he knows that. Who's your favorite team, Walks? Who's your favorite team?
My favorite state or no?
Your favorite team from the commercial. I want to live forever. I don't care.
Ohio State.
Let's see, we're working on it. But every time that commercial comes on, he's like, Ohio State.
And that commercial probably plays a lot in over in your household. So
you said what? Oh, it plays all the time, and he sings it all the time.
It is fantastic.
That's a great commercial.
Well, we're looking forward to all those teams here, 15 of them in the Big Ten tournament. Thanks to Walker and Ant, both special guests today. Appreciate it. That's our show.
Bye.